run, hide, fight. But if the person is intent on causing you harm, they're going to find you. They're going to kick in the door. And if you're sitting there like a sitting duck with no ability to defend yourself, you're dead. That's how it works. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Reacts. This time, Run, Hide, Fight, recommended by the FBI, because the FBI's Violence Reduction Unit has released a new video, a new training video that we're going to go over. Run, Hide, Fight. That sounds like what they're doing with the Epstein files. But I digress. Carnival, our sponsor, freeze-dried beef, chicken, and pork. It's not just what's in your cupboard for preparation. It's also what's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you're into eating clean meat, no hormones, antibiotics, artificial flavors, or preservatives, you can check them out at carnival.com. Use MG10 to save in the description down below. All right, let's get into it. Let's just roll, man. I'm just so ready to criticize the FBI because I know this is going to be amazing. And when I say amazing, it's going to be a disaster. Let's go ahead and roll it. So this is actually produced by this organization called the Violence Reduction Unit, and the training videos reinforce the 3 core survival principles. This is outlined by the FBI, by the way. Run if it is safe to do so, hide if escape is not possible, and fight as a last resort. You know, defend your life or advocate for your family members to defend their life only if it's a last resort. The materials are designed to provide practical scenario-based guidance to help viewers make rapid decisions during a crisis. No better way to advocate for making critical decisions under stress than to give you an acronym to follow verbatim and to fight as a last resort.
Come on, Lewis, bring him home.
Lewis.
Just shake it off. Just one more out. You got this.
Okay, so this is a training video made by the FBI. All of these people are probably agents that work for the FBI, and already it's like, way to make baseball awkward. Way to make baseball awkward. I imagine there's going to be something that's about to go down.
Sorry, Bob. Just isn't my day. Hey, plenty of game left. Come on.
What is happening right now? What is really happening right now?
Nice catch, Caleb.
Thanks. Hey, do you think...
Where is this going? Where is this going? This is literally the DOJ's release of the Epstein files. Like, nothing coherent, nothing's happening. You don't know what's going on. People are just running their mouths and just walking in circles. What the hell is happening right now?
Do you have time to go to the bathroom?
Caleb, you're a cleanup.
Better hurry.
Long, awkward pauses. You better hurry. Like, he's got to go take a shit. Like, what are we talking about?
This is the last of the ice. Maybe Neil can get us more.
You need help with them?
I got it. Makes up for not having a workout this morning.
Okay, so that's gunshots. Sounds like it. And that's everybody's immediate reaction. In the infantry, we used to call immediate action drills, meaning when you hear something like that, you do something very specific. An example would be I'm walking on patrol in the woods, moving to contact. I hear fire. I bound and move to cover, and an individual movement technique. And then I identify the direction and distance of where it's coming from. And then I try to announce that to my teammates. Okay, I'm not saying there needs to be immediate action for you, but the comprehension of whether or not something is gunfire or not is relatively easy to identify. So, is it gunfire? Sounds like gunfire. I'm going to assume it's gunfire. Versus this contemplation that takes place where it's like, what do you think that is? Maybe you should record it on your phone and then put it through ChatGPT to see if it tells you it's gunfire. Or you use your senses that are designed to facilitate your survival and actually use critical thinking skills.
Come on.
Get down.
Okay, herein lies a little bit of the problem, right? We have situations where, like this case, this person says, get down, okay? They're all standing in the open. They could be seen. You're not hiding because you're taking a knee or squatting behind a fence that's see-through, right? So it's not just get down. It is get down behind cover. Cover stops bullets. It is going to protect you from the onslaught of gunfire to not be killed. Concealment, which this could be relative concealment, is you're in a position where something's masking your position, but you could still be compromised security-wise by gunfire. They have relative concealment surrounding them with a chain link fence and a piece of plywood that will not stop bullets. But again, herein lies the problem. Nobody in this acronym is telling you to think for yourself, to use rationale, critical thinking skills, and to think through a problem. Okay? Here's the problem. You've identified where it's coming from, and you decide to hunker down and to get down because somebody said get down. A lot of the casualties, for example, in the Mandalay Bay were told by, and this is proven through audio and video recordings, to get down and seek cover. That did nothing for them because the shooter was in an elevated position. If they would have continued to move and seek cover advantageously when it was appropriate, they potentially would have survived. Yeah. Like just get down and lay in an open field by yourself. When you could take the precious moments where you hear it off in the distance to run in the opposite direction of where it's taking place and to get off the X. But again, nobody says that because the FBI just wants you to follow orders and instructions from, I don't know, a person in the institution that's read the pamphlet on Run, Hide, Fight, or maybe watch the training video that here, see this little FBI logo right here? This is the training, check the block process. Because if you watch this video, you're certified. That's not how it works.
The run and run, hide, fight means to evacuate quickly and safely in the direction away from the attacker. Keep moving until you are sure that you found a safe location.
No, keep moving until you can't move anymore, right? Keep moving means move as far away from the threat as possible, creating distance, time, and putting as many obstacles of cover and concealment between you and where the attacker might be.
We're not safe here. We need to move. I'm concealed from the shooter's view, but this won't stop bullets.
Okay, at least she's being honest. I'll give it to the FBI here. At least she's being honest.
Keep moving away from the threat, using cover and concealment as you go. A safe location has cover, police protection, and access to medical care, none of which may be immediately available.
Close and lock the door. I'll get the shutter. In here, hurry!
Okay, this is where people get killed. Okay, you're in a situation where you've identified the shooter at distance. It's obvious that this shooter, via the gunfire off in the distance, is at distance, engaging potential victims. The worst thing that I think you could do is barricade yourself in a static position where you have no defense, right? In cases of self-defense, where you would barricade yourself in the back of a room, put your back against the wall, and then potentially point the gun at the doorway or the threshold that the potential adversary would enter through, you have a tactical advantage because you could ambush them. But there is no tactical advantage being unarmed, locked in a building on site where people would typically hide. You're the shooter, for example. You're walking around, you're looking for victims. There's no victims out in the open. You see a building where that's where people hide. You go up to the building, it's locked. Then you know there's people inside because there was people here before. And obviously that's where your victims are going to be. This happens routinely in institutions whereby they lock themselves down in classrooms. Again, a case study is Virginia Tech, whereby the shooter walked into the building and chained the doors behind him, killing 30 plus students in those buildings alone, going classroom to classroom where teachers thought they were safe because they barricaded their students that were hiding underneath desks, and none of them were safe. They're actually just sitting ducks. So this is the issue I have. We're using billboards to barricade locking mechanisms. You know the solution here? Be armed. Be offensive. Never go anywhere without concealing an everyday carry pistol that's going to protect you in self-defense. So you don't have to worry about being a sitting duck and a victim. You can actually fight for yourself and others if others aren't armed.
Let me help you. Apply apply direct pressure to the wound to control the bleeding until we can get a tourniquet. It's gonna be okay. The hide and run, hide, fight means to make sure the attacker cannot see you or get to you. Lock and barricade the doors and stay as quiet as possible, to include silencing cell phones.
Yeah, that is not. Look, I'll give the FBI credit because the run component, they actually covered verbatim what I said in criticizing them before they actually said it. And what they said was right. The problem I have with the hide component is, what are you doing hiding? When you hide, you're typically putting yourself, just like they describe, in a position where the bad guy can't see you. You think you're hiding because the bad guy's not going to find you. And then when you're hiding, you're in a compromised position. You're tucked up in the fetal position underneath a desk or inside a cabinet or behind a door. You are not in a position to fight or defend yourself. And the other person has a gun. So it's like saying the best thing you could do in a home attack or a home invasion is just barricade yourself in the house in the back room and call 911. For sure, that's an option. But if the person is intent on causing you harm, they're going to find you. They're going to kick in the door. And if you're sitting there like a sitting duck with no ability to defend yourself, you're dead. That's how it works. And again, the case studies in active shootings are very clear with this. Most of the victims that are killed are hiding. In Virginia Tech, 90+% of those that were killed were shot in the head. You know why? Because they had their hands covering their heads, hiding underneath a desk via the protocol, and they had no opportunity to defend themselves. The ones that actually fared better, that survived or died trying, were those that were trying to barricade the doors, and when the shooter came through, they tried to attack him and fight, and at least they died fighting.
Have a plan to defend yourself until help arrives.
The attacker is blocking our only escape, but we're not going to be victims. If you control the gun, you control the shooter. I'll go for the gun, you grab the arms, and you go for the head.
Wow, what a dire situation. I'm going to go for the gun, you grab the arms, and you go for the head. Okay, I get it in a last fit of desperation. How about one of the adults in the room say, no, man, I'm carrying a 365X macro, and I'm good. I'm going to advance. You guys stay here. I'll take care of this. Oh, gosh.
The fight in run, hide, fight means fight for your lives. So don't fight fair.
Or just fight constitutionally via your inherent right to self-defense. Yeah, sure. You could break a three-way plan to grab appendages of the attacker, or you could use tools that are going to facilitate your survival and go to work. This is the most accurate depiction because they're coming in after everything's done. When seconds count, law enforcement are minutes away. You are your own first responder to all of these circumstances. And this is an accurate depiction. They're getting here to clean up the mess, to do sensitive site exploitation, evidence collection, and to process the scene.
Over here, we got it. We got the shooter. Where are we headed?
You can survive an active shooter event if you're prepared. Remember, run, hide, or fight.
Why wouldn't they say, look, we live in America. If you're exercising your fundamental rights, then all you have to do is get a concealed carry, get the appropriate license and the training necessary, and instead do a video on how to stop a threat. Instead of this passive acronym that's used in emergency procedures that people in panic are going to literally screw up from the onset. That's why cognitive critical decision making needs to be trained. If they would advocate for training under stress, utilizing and leveraging the tools that are available to you as a law-abiding citizen, then we wouldn't have to pretend like there's a chance when people run, hide, fight. It hasn't worked out for victims, especially in institutions where you're confined and constrained by the institution itself that locks you down in a school, in a classroom, underneath a desk, when the shooter could be a mile away across campus. That's the detriment to this. And again, if we weren't so simplified in our thinking that there's an acronym to follow, and we use critical thinking skills to think through more comprehensive understanding, then this wouldn't be a 6-minute video on how to survive a catastrophic scenario. It would be a series that's realistic. This is not realistic. It's a check the block.
Run. Wherever you go, be aware of alternate exits. Quickly and cautiously evacuate in a direction away from the attacker. Don't hesitate. Seconds matter. Leave belongings behind. Use cover and concealment to your advantage.
Wherever you go, be aware of alternate exits. Yes, wherever you go, pay attention to all the potential ins and outs. I see in these classroom situations where there are a lot of classic examples in active shootings in institutions that are buildings, schools, workplaces, where people survive because they put a chair through a window. They didn't try to run down a 100-meter hallway, which is a fatal funnel, a long threshold to escape. They took a chair and chucked it through a window and got themselves out of harm's way. It happened in Uvalde, where several teachers evacuated their students, whereby if that shooter came into your classroom and shut the door, there was going to be 19 students killed and 2 teachers. So think outside the box, I would add to that. To not just look at alternate exits via the main routes established, but by any means necessary. How many people did you see jump these fences? Well, in the Mandela Bay situation where they had this concert, a lot of people survived because they continued to move. They didn't stop moving, and any obstacles in their way, they navigated. Which brings up another important aspect: be in shape, be fit to fight. If you can't pick up your children or your spouse and get them out of harm's way because they might be the liability and you're the asset, well, you better act like it. I mean, I don't know what you get fit for, but of all the things that you could get fit for to motivate yourself to get fitter, that's one of them. Quickly and cautiously evacuate in a direction away from the attacker. Yes, do that as quickly as possible. Don't hesitate, seconds matter. Trying to document on your phone, trying to get a phone call out. The only thing that matters, especially in the precious moments that this kicks off, is you moving off the X as quickly as possible. Leave belongings behind, self-explanatory, and use cover and concealment to your advantage. Distance, time, and as many obstacles in between you and where the bad guy is. Remember, if you are running, there's a dumpster, for example, that you just ran by, you need to put yourself behind the dumpster once you bypass it to, again, create as many concealment and cover opportunities, obstacle opportunities in between you and the shooter.
Cover can stop bullets. Concealment will hide your location, but will not stop bullets. Follow all instructions from law enforcement. Don't stop until you're sure you have reached a safe location. Hide. If there is no safe escape route, find a good hiding place. Lock and barricade doors. Silence cell phones. Have a plan to defend yourself.
If there is no safe escape route, find a good hiding place. There is always a good escape route. Think about the scenarios in which you wouldn't have an out. Would anything stop you if you were trying to evacuate with your children? If they're super vulnerable and in a situation where their survival depends on you, what obstacles could be in your way? If you're in a building, there's windows. If there's doors in your way, you can kick those doors open. If there's a fence, jump the fence. Whatever it takes to remove yourself, because the further away you get from the threat, the less probable he can get a beat on you. And if he does get a beat on you, the more distance you can create, the more advantages you have. Again, nothing should stand in your way. And it should be a last resort in desperation for you to hide. You ever play hide and seek? I don't think I've ever played hide and seek and not gotten small in a confined space, because that's how you hide, especially in plain sight with all the obstacles that surround us. Think about your kitchen. You're going to hide in the kitchen. Where are you going to hide? In the cupboard. Where do you think the bad guy's going to look if he's looking for victims? In the cupboard, in the closet, behind the door, where people hide, right? It's called hide and seek. We all did it. You're at the worst disadvantage if you hide, because you're making yourself more vulnerable and less likely to be in a position to fight.
Fight. Fight only as a last resort. Use available objects as improvised weapons. Use teamwork and surprise. A coordinated ambush can incapacitate an attacker. You are fighting for your life. Don't fight fair.
Oh, God. Okay, you could tell the FBI lawyers wrote this. One, there's a picture of a person holding a baseball bat. Unless you happen to chalk up a scenario where you have baseball bats, that's the only time you're going to have a baseball bat. Okay? And also, a baseball bat means you're going to have to be in close proximity to a person with a gun. Fight only as a last resort. Let's go ahead and scratch that out. Fight and defend yourself as a first resort to somebody who's inflicting violence and harm against other people, to include you. Use available objects as improvised weapons. Or it should say, carry responsibly. Use available objects as improvised weapons? This idea of you being in an institution, you don't have weapons and you roll up a magazine? Sure, I guess. Or you could just advocate beyond the FBI lawyers and say, hey, we live in America. If you're at a baseball game and you're there watching and observing, yeah, you can carry concealed in your waistband. Put it in your purse, your European man satchel, your purse, whatever you're into. But this passive liability language, use teamwork and surprise. A coordinated ambush can incapacitate an attacker. Or if 3 of you have concealed carry pistols, you'll make it really easy. You are fighting for your life. Don't fight fair. Or just fight fair because you have a concealed carry pistol and this person has a firearm as well. Again, don't bring a baseball bat to a gunfight. And that's what they're advocating for here, again, because of the lawyers.
Stop the bleed. A victim can die of uncontrolled blood loss in 5 minutes or less. Apply pressure or a tourniquet to control severe bleeding.
Let's just stop that right here. They have this to check the block. I get it. Stop the bleed. Okay, the first thing it should say is don't try to stop the bleed on anybody as a priority until the scene is secure. Because you want to run out and stop the bleed on a victim, you're going to be a victim yourself. Look, this is not novel education. This is like common sense in the tactical world that has existed forever. Obviously, they didn't have FBI HRT guys advising this 6-minute clip. Investigators in the office, the admin section, put this together because it's not obvious to me that anybody who wrote this knows what they're talking about. They're following the protocol and they're checking the block, of course. Apply pressure or a tourniquet to control severe bleeding. Okay, how about carry a first aid kit on your person at all times, individual first aid kit, include a tourniquet. How about that? Just carry a tourniquet. If you're going to carry anything on person, it needs to be your Band-Aids and Bacitracin for your kids and a tourniquet. Also, I mean, I'm kind of glad they threw this up here, but again, they're not speaking to the reality of what people with no education are going to do. And again, check in the block, 6-minute educational video.
Know how to survive. Go to FBI.
I even love the little illustrations they used for each run, hide, fight. It's like hide. They have the person barricading the door with a desk. You think that's going to stop a shooter? It's not. Oh, again, there's several instances, including Columbine, where this wasn't an effective strategy. We're using statistics and history, recent history, to create tactics for civilians that are going to actually work. Yeah, and this baseball bat in the hand, yeah, good luck with that. I'm going to do a series of these because there's like more of these. My friend Evelyn brought this to my attention. There's several videos that the FBI released on the run, hide, fight framework, and it's been a cornerstone of active shooter preparedness messaging for more than a decade. See how that's worked out for you. By updating and expanding visual training resources, the FBI aims to ensure that individual businesses, schools, and community groups have accessible tools to strengthen readiness and response. You want accessible tools that are going to help with readiness and response? That's called an everyday carry pistol. That's actually a tool that's going to strengthen readiness and response. It says the materials are part of the FBI's broader violence prevention and public safety efforts, which include guidance for law enforcement, private sector security professionals, and community leaders. Way to check that block. Block checked. We're going to talk about all these videos in the next Reacts dropping next time. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification tab, and leave a comment. Till next time. Peace.